Hey, what's up guys? Today we'll be drawing Mega Charizard X from Pokemon. In this short video tutorial, I'll be going over the step-by-step of how to create this drawing from start to finish. Beginning with roughing in the basic shapes and form with pencil, and then refine the rough sketch with detailed line work. After that, we're going to trace the pencil drawing with marker, then color in the highlight, midtone, and shadows, then finally trace the profile lines with marker again to complete this drawing. Now let's take a look at the materials we'll need for this drawing. You're going to need a pencil, an eraser, a thicker black marker, a thinner black marker, and some color pencils. So the colors I have here, I have a black and a gray for the black areas on Mega Charizard X. And I have a darker blue and a lighter blue for the blue areas on Mega Charizard X. And I have like a dark magenta and a pink for the tongue and the eye. Now feel free to draw along and pause the video whenever you like to catch up with me. Now before we start our drawing, let's take a look at a reference picture of Mega Charizard X and find out what shapes and form we can use to help us create our drawing. So now at the beginning when you look at it, it's a lot of details, a lot of shapes and forms. It might look very daunting at first, but just simplify it. Think the most basic shapes. What do you see? What most basic shapes do you see when you see Charizard? Okay, so the head, I'll simplify it into a sphere. And the nose that pops out, I'll simplify it into a smaller sphere. Big sphere, small sphere, okay? And then the body is in a shape of a pear. Okay, so if I were to draw a thumbnail here, that's the head, that's the nose, okay? And we got two horns coming out like that, and then we have a pear shape for the body. I connect the head with the body, with the neck, and then these two shoulders, I'm going to draw two spheres to locate them. So one sphere, two spheres, okay? And I'm going to draw out the arms like stick figures for now, like that. You see that? Then one sphere, two spheres, okay? These horns on the side, and then the legs. It's also in kind of like a sphere shape, but it's not a perfect oval. The curves are not even, okay, on this, okay? So if I were to draw it, draw an oval to begin with, another oval here, and then the leg right here, it looks like a rectangle but wider on the bottom. See that? And this split right here looks like another rectangle, okay? All right, so imagine the tail, it's like a very big banana, okay? That comes out, okay? And then the wings. Okay, and another wings is kind of behind the neck, like this, okay? And that will be like the basic shape of my Mega Charizard X. So when I draw the wings, I will look at the wing as a mess, as a big mess like this. Okay, and after I draw that shape, then I'm going to go in and draw each individual ones inside. Alright, now next let's find out which direction the light is coming from in this picture. It will help us when we color in the highlight, midtone, and shadows. So let's find out where the highlights are. So we got highlights here, here, right here. We got some here, some here. So it's coming up from this direction. Okay, that's why you see the shadows underneath. Okay, that's most of the time, like 90% of the time, your pictures are going to have lighting coming from top down. Okay, so we did a special one with Mega Rayquaza. You can go take a look at that video where Mega Rayquaza has lighting coming from down up. But 90% of the time, the light is going to be from coming from top down, either from the center, left, or right. Okay, it's usually a little bit towards one direction. Not a lot of times perfectly in the center. Okay, so that's our lighting. Now we have all the information we need for our drawing. Let's start with roughing in the basic shapes and forms. I consider this to be the most important stage of the drawing because it is the foundation of everything else that comes after. Now see how I draw very lightly at this stage. It is to avoid committing to any lines too soon. When I start refining the drawing in a second, the more definitive lines that I'm willing to commit to, I will draw heavier. And the rough sketch will feel like it's fading away, as my refined line work emerge from the basic shape and forms. Now another tip, when drawing circular shapes, I like to draw 4 corners first. So let's say we're drawing like a circular shape here. I will draw 4 corners first, and then draw the other 4 corners, and then connect the lines. Okay, so this technique gives you a more accurate and more desired placement of your shape. Okay, so give that a try. Now if you're happy with what you have right now, good. But if you're not happy, keep working on it until you do. Make sure your anatomy and your compositions are good. Double check with the reference picture. And if you think it is ready to go, let's start refining the drawing. See how the rough sketch feels like it's fading away now that we have a more refined pencil drawing? And my tip for you here is to learn to draw with short and repetitive strokes. Still draw very lightly, but look for that definitive line amongst the rougher sketch lines and draw heavier as you commit to those lines. And you'll see a real drawing emerge from the rough sketch. Now for Mega Charizard X, there's a lot of anatomy and structure and details in Mega Charizard X. So what I'm going to do is a lot of the lines I don't feel like it's refined enough. So I'm gonna grab my eraser and just lightly erase a layer. Okay, so the entire drawing becomes a little bit lighter, and I'm gonna just refine over it again to get the lines even more accurate. Okay, so let's do that. Now your drawing is going to look very muddy at this stage. It's because we smeared a lot of the pencil sketch around just to make the line work thinner. But don't worry about it. After we trace it with the marker and clean it up with the eraser, all that will be gone. Right now we're just trying to lighten up the lines. Now I know the whole entire area kind of feels gray now, but that's fine. That's fine. Our point is to get all the line work to lighten up. So when I refine with my pencil again with another layer, those lines will stand out more. Okay? Okay, so now I think the pencil drawing is refined enough for us to start tracing with the marker. Okay, so we're going to start tracing, and afterwards we'll erase all the pencil drawings, so we'll have a clean line work. Now, my tip for this step is to keep rotating your paper to produce fluent strokes. And remember that you don't have to finish a long line with one single stroke. You can break it up into several strokes just to make sure that it looks continuous. Okay, for example, let's say I'm tracing this line right here with the tail. Okay, so that's one line, 2 line, 3 line, 4 lines. See, it's 4 strokes, 4 lines that I created, but it looks like one. Okay, so that's my tip for you. Now, usually I use a thicker marker. Now, we will be using a thicker marker for the profile lines, but for these detail lines, I'm going to use a thinner marker. Okay, let's start. When you erase the pencil drawing, make sure you hold down your paper with the other hand so that you don't just risk wrinkle your paper, okay? If you just do this, okay, you might, because the paper's gonna move around, you might wrinkle your paper, okay? So be careful on that. So next step is coloring. Most objects you draw will have highlight, midtone, and shadow. So we got highlights, and the midtone is the majority of the area, like the neutral tone, and then we have the shadow, which is a darker area. Okay. Now on white paper, we can overlay colors to make it look darker, but we cannot overlay colors to make it lighter. So I'm going to locate and mark all the highlight area first, and then color everything else with the midtone, and then overlay the shadow on the midtone. And I'll decide whether or not to color in the highlights, because sometimes I think it looks great just leaving it white. If not, I'll just throw down a very thin layer of the midtone color for the highlights, okay? So I'm going to start either with the lightest color or the smallest area. So smallest area, I'm probably going to start with the eyes and the tongue, a very small area, easy taken care of. And then I'm probably going to work my way with the lightest color, which is the tummy, the blue, and then the gray, the black, okay? So start. Now that we have all the midtone colors in our drawing, let's take a look at the shadows. So there are form shadow and cast shadows. Form shadow is when shadow follows the form of the shape, and cast shadow is when the shadow is casted from another form that is closer to the light source. So for Charizard, most of the shadows we have here are form shadows. We don't see a lot of cast shadows here, except right here. Under the armpit, that would be a cast shadow from the shoulder, right here. Okay, but most of it is form shadow. Alright, so I know, so we're going to start coloring the shadows right now. I know this drawing was really flat with just the midtone, but watch this. See how after we put in the shadow, the whole drawing becomes more dimensional? That's because with our highlight, midtone, and shadow, everything will read as 3D forms instead of 2D flat shapes. I know it already looks awesome, but we're going to make it look even better by making the profile lines thicker. Now the profile lines are the outermost border lines of each major forms, like the head, the arm, the leg, the wings, not the detail lines. Now when we make those profile lines thicker, your form will read more clear, and the whole character will pop off the page. Let me show you how this works. And there we have it, Mega Charizard X from Pokemon. Remember, drawing is like playing the piano. You can have the best instructor and the best music sheet in front of you. You might even know the music very well. But it is only through practice that you will get better and become what you want to be. The whole point of my video is to provide a side-by-side training for you on a daily basis, like riding a bicycle. I might have to hold your bike for you in the beginning, but just keep drawing, and before you know it, you will be flying. Alright, that's it folks. I hope you guys enjoyed this drawing tutorial. Let me know in the comments below what we should draw next. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.